Good morning. Today's Thursday, February 11th, and it's a white cohort day. All students, faculty, and staff, don't forget to order your lunch for next week by 8:45 a.m. today. VSAC Scholarship Friendly Reminder, Vermont College-bound seniors. The guidance office's VSAC deadline is today at 3 p.m. to upload your supporting documentation, transcripts, letters of recommendation, etc. Ms. Hale will be in the guidance office today to help you with all your VSAC scholarship questions. Thursday Skins with the Outing Club will not meet today. Hopefully, we will see you next week. Why was the teacher so scared of the students when they got out their graph paper? She knew they were plotting something. Math team will meet today in Fuller Basement from 3:20 to 4:30 p.m. We are working on round 5 of the New England Math League competition. If you are interested in joining our group in person or via Zoom, email Mr. Kinsella at pkinsella@stjacademy.org or Mr. Stapleford at dstapleford@stjacademy.org for details. Hello, Academy students. If you have been concerned about the consequences of pandemic isolation on our elderly community members, Scope has an opportunity for you. We are currently involved in a letter-writing campaign that includes 40 of our St. J community members living in retirement communities in town. This is not a long-term commitment, just a chance to tell people you're thinking of them. If you'd be interested in helping us by writing a card or note to someone to ease their feelings of loneliness, please reach out to Scope through Ms. Morris, who can give you more details. Stop by Ranger 212 or email her at cmorris@stjacademy.org. A little volunteerism can make a strong impact. We appreciate anyone who wants to help. And Mr. Camellia's joke of the week. Did you know that people who use selfie sticks really need to have a good long look at themselves? Ha 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 ha. And happy birthday today to Hardy Horn, Latoya Bragdon, Gabe Hatch, Chelsea Chen, and Carter Jane. Happy birthdays. Have an excellent day.
Thank you, Sierra. You might have noticed, good morning, St. Johnsbury Academy. You might have noticed a little bit more liveliness here in chapel this morning. We're happy to have Ms. Moran's advisory in here this morning. And I want to thank Mr. Sarath's advisory for having me to visit yesterday. It was great getting to meet you all, and Eric, go Bees. Good win last night. This morning we're going to start with a report on the status of the Green Cup Challenge, and then we're going to hear again from the wonderful Sierra Manasa-Curranen, whose talk during MLK Week was so moving to all of us. So I'm going to turn things over first to Ezra Wilson from the National Honor Society.
Good morning, St. Johnsbury Academy. Last year, I spoke in chapel on a few occasions to discuss what it meant to be stewards of our planet and how we as individuals and a community can work together to keep our environment clean and reduce our waste production. I'm happy to state that in the past year, we've made significant progress on campus in this effort, something that has become clear over the past few weeks with the Green Cup Challenge. In the past year, we've established campus-wide composting even before state regulations and guidelines were established. We've installed new kitchen hoods in the dining room to use energy more efficiently and cut down on campus emissions. We've upgraded the insulation for pipes in Colby, Streeter, and the Fieldhouse boiler rooms to reduce our carbon footprint. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Zhao and the facilities for their continued efforts to make the Academy physically and more environmentally cleaner. For example, using more efficient salt for the roads this winter. My point being, it may seem like there's not always a lot that we can do as a school or as individuals to reduce our emissions, but that is not the case. We're in a historical moment where we have the technology advanced enough to solve some of the problems that those before us could not, in a time where we have the research to prove that we influence our planet's climate, as well as how to rectify those negative influences we've had. Now, more than ever before, we need to be committed to giving back to our planet and making it a cleaner place. With that being said, I am also here to announce the results of the 2021 Green Cup Challenge. In last place, the Brant View, which had 0.86 offenses per student over the past 2 weeks. The Green Dorm was in 5th place with 0.52 offenses. Waterman 4th with 0.22. The Barn ranked 3rd with 0.2 offenses per student. And the winner of the Green Cup Challenge was Christensen Dorm with 0.04 offenses per student. And then Sheepcoat and Crampton Dorms got 2nd place with 0.14. So round of applause. For this week's advisory challenge, the advisory who guessed most accurately to this week's energy production from the Duso solar plant was Mrs. Breen's advisory. So congratulations to you guys. And we produced enough electricity, actually 19% more at our solar plant than we've had from our baseline data, which is enough to power the Waterman dorm or the Barn dorm by themselves for an entire week. So that's good. On average, we used 0.7% less electricity over the past 2 weeks from our baseline data. And while 4.7, sorry, may not sound like a lot, when you first hear it, it means we've saved on average 2,137 kilowatt hours per week, which is enough to power Newell Hall, Waterman Dorm, and the Maple Center for an entire week. It also means that we saved $300 on average in electricity use over these past 2 weeks. So thank you to everyone for that. And while this year's Green Cup Challenge may be over, I want to remind everyone that our ability to use less energy and produce less waste is not. There's a lot of ways to get involved in our community to better our planet. It starts with being conscientious. Being aware of the impact that you have is the first step to learning how to become a more environmentally friendly citizen. Like many of you did over the past few weeks, think about whether or not you need your lights on, whether you need to plug your phone or computer in long past when the battery's full. And these are just small actions that each and every one of us, myself included, do from time to time. But if we collectively work together to sort of combat these habits, we can dramatically reduce our carbon footprint. And the Academy has an amazing opportunity for larger projects for environmental stewardship through the Green Revolving Fund, which is a fund that can be used to pay for student-led initiatives, energy or climate initiatives. There are also programs like the National Honor Society and SCOPE, where students can pitch ideas to their peers and have guidance from the school to facilitate different projects. For example, last year SCOPE students set up composting buckets in the dining hall and cafe to help dispose of food waste through compost rather than trash. The possibilities are practically endless. If you'd like to get more involved in these projects, email or contact Mr. Bentley or join SCOPE by contacting Mrs. Morris for more information. Thank you all so much, and I'd like to leave off by saying, ask not what your planet can do for you, but what you can do for your planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ezra. That's very, very inspiring ending, and we can do a lot for our planet. Thanks, everyone who participated. So Sierra Manassa Kernan originally reached out to me in January because she was already thinking about Black History Month and wanted to talk more about how we could celebrate it. From the beginning, she's been interested in looking at the ways that we approach the whole phenomenon and in providing an approach that focuses on the broad accomplishments and profound contributions of Black Americans to our common culture. And across arts and scholarship, across literature and science, law and medicine, government and education. In the week to come, before winter break, we'll be sharing out with you daily books, music, art, and speeches that should be and will be part of our cultural inheritance. Sierra's inspired me not just to think about Black History Month as a time to foreground foundational significance of African American stories, but also to think about how to keep that history in the picture continually and faithfully. There is no Black history or white history, quite frankly. We know by now that there is simply our shared history as Americans and our individual stories. So please join me in welcoming Sierra back to the Fuller stage.
Hi. I'm a part of the Moran's Advisory, if you couldn't tell. Good morning. Happy Lunar New Year and happy Black History Month. I have a playlist of music that I've been listening to recently, inspired by a song that my uncle sent me a while back. It was a cover of a father and son singing "A Change Is Gonna Come" by Sam Cooke. I don't know if you know that song, but I love it. It's a great song. It became an anthem during the civil rights movement. I think it'd be an understatement to say that I like public speaking. It's always been a way for me to be able to express myself, and I've recently gotten more into it, talking about racial equality. But today I'd like to talk about Black history, not the history that we learn about in school. I'm not going to talk about slavery, and I'm not going to talk about the civil rights movement, because Black history is so much more. They're stories. They don't have to deal with racism or segregation in order to be valuable either. Shocker, I know, it's crazy. But before I dive into it, I'd like to mention that Black History Month usually has a theme. This month's theme is family. It's about stories and hearing Black stories and learning about identity and representation in Black culture. I'd like to share mine. I love performing. I've always found a way to do it, whether it be playing the flute in the middle school band, or being in musicals at school, or simply singing. When I'm on stage, I feel energized and comfortable. So you can imagine I feel pretty comfy right now. My uncle lived up here with my family and I a few years ago. I love my uncle. He had the best Donald Duck impressions, and he made the best food, Southern food. Don't tell my dad that I said that his brother's cooking is better than his own. But I absolutely adored my uncle. I was really close with him. One, he was up here, and we'd always talk about music and cooking and my family that I didn't know who were down south. One night, I came home from rehearsal, and I was just talking about how well it went and just blabbing everybody's ear off when my uncle, who was sitting on the couch watching TV, he looked at me and he said, "Cece," because that's what he called me, "I know that one of these days I'm going to see the Manasseh name up on that TV before I die, and I have a feeling it's going to be yours." Now, me being in 8th grade and just getting back from my rehearsal of Beauty and the Beast Jr., thought my uncle was crazy. I laughed it off and went around doing my thing, not really taking to heart what he was saying. A couple of months after that, he left. He went to North Carolina to be with the rest of his family. Let's fast forward to 2020, and I find out that my uncle hasn't been feeling too well. I was scared to see him, because what he had was terminal, but I did see him. We talked about college and family, and I told really, really bad jokes that made him laugh, because I am the funniest person alive. And then George Floyd was killed. I'm back in New England. I'm at a protest. I'm looking around at a crowd of maybe 300 people, and suddenly there's a megaphone in my hand. I had just seen my uncle in a hospital bed for the last time a few days prior, and I saw another Black man killed in a video with no justice. I was feeling a pain that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. Then I'm in the newspaper. Then there are videos and more marches and protests and speeches at the Capitol, and I'm not stopping, I'm constantly moving. My uncle saw the newspaper article, and I'm still moving. A lot of me is doing it because it needs to be done, but a small part of me in the back of my mind is saying, he needs to see this. You're probably wondering, why is she talking about this? Now, I could have written about plantations. I could have made you all listen to another speech about Dr. Martin Luther King after hearing about him since kindergarten. I could have spoken about how watered down the discussion of Black history is when being taught in history classes, but I'm tired. I'm really, really tired. I'm tired of learning about these same two people over and over again. And I'm tired about hearing that the only history that Black people have is fighting for their rights. Sorry. I'd like to ask you, students, faculty, and staff, to find a Black story. It could be an art, it could be a scientist, a mathematician, a composer, anything, really. I would like you to find one and learn about it. And hey, if you're even bold enough, have a discussion about it in your class. The worst it can do is that for one day, you find yourself talking about a story that fascinates you and opens the discussion while showing and demonstrating solidarity with the Black community. Bettering the future of education in our country. Obviously, it's important to talk about civil rights and the people who helped us get to where we are now. But we should talk about the Black stories that are a result of that. Stories of a culture that was built from the ground up. They are remarkable, and they all deserve to be told. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Sierra. So you all know, Sierra just got a standing ovation here in Fuller Hall. Have a good day, everyone, and I will see you here in chapel next week. Do think about what Sierra just asked of you, and we all will. Thank you.